a little harder. To get a time and a chance to play some other games, but everybody can come over here and watch the championship game. It's called the sportsmanship.
For water breakers in Aquaball League. First ever one. Let's go.
Let's go. That's what Aquaball League is about. That's what XR Sports is about. You're going to get a time and a chance to play some other games, but everybody can come over here and watch the championship game. It's called the sportsmanship. That's what we do here at XR Sports. Steam your drink. Aquaball League. Hey, Angel and me, get over here. Pause that college football. I'll spank y'all on that later. You already know how it goes.
Nobody press anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know what's up with me on the game. I told y'all, anybody that's over 45, you know what I mean?
Like your character?
From the 8. I got my money on XPG too, you know why? Because they've been sitting back, chilling on the boat, drinking iced tea, eating hot dogs, eating candy.
Eating glizzies.
Whoa, eating them glizzies. Yikes, big yikes, Bobs. Big. All right, let's go. Championship or bust. Let's go. We listen for the championship. Let's go.
Still doing 5-5?
Yeah, we're doing 5-5. Let's go.
All right.
All right, let's go.
No. Let's commissioner pulling the flag. We're going 7 points.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Big yikes, Bob. Whoa.
Nice.
This is not a TV series, brother.
5 minutes.
We're trying to make this a shoot.
7 goals in 5 minutes in Pirate Code.
It's no, not 7 goals.
And how many minutes, bro?
No, 5 minutes.
All right, bro.
Yeah, it said 5 minutes. 7 goals.
5 minutes and 7 goals, boy. This is a championship.
In Pirate Code.
He pulled one on y'all.
XPG 2, are you ready?
Can we get
XPG 1, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna play other games after this. Y'all get some free play after this.
Let's go.
All right, bro. We can put some money on it, bro. Put some money on it. I like to pay for free handshake times, fist bumps, and then set me up on the push. And we good. Long as I owe you, never broke, bro. Long as I owe you, never broke. All right? Let's go. All right, this is the championship, boy. They got left my wild and the Elsa Gundo music going. Let's go. Okay.
Run it.
Yikes.
They just locked in.
XPG won. That was y'all XPG won? Bro, they just laid back. He just did his hand like this. Like, that's me, bro. I've been going for a minute. Oh. The man is scratching his brains. He's doing like this in his brains after the goal. Come on, Josiah. Don't let them take you out. They got an incline board. They trying to block him. Oh, man, thank you for changing that music up, bro. I was about to say, bro.
Don't work on that.
World, bro? Yo. XPG1 is not playing with XPG2. Uh-oh. They got the incline. Okay, they got the incline. Come on. Josiah got the crown. XPG1, you're looking good, baby. You're looking good. He's working my money. Nice. Working my money. And then pick XPG2. Come on, pick him still rolling. Let's go. Oh, back trip move. Oh, man, two more. Oh, man, they could have did. Look like they could have did this in 2 minutes. Yikes, come on. Oh, spin move on him. Oh! Let him go! Yes, let's go. Okay, y'all. The octopus is serious business, bro. Now, oh, let's go. Oh! Bro, record. Gotta get a record. All right. Hey, Josiah. Shake it off, bro. Shake it off. Don't worry about it, bro. Hey, shake it off. Hey, J&J. Look at me. Huh? He wants to switch his current up. I'm sure you, bro. Switch your current up.
Yeah, so do I.
J&J promotion. Look at me. Focus.
Oh, I think I did wrong, but bro, we got
J&J.
We can win this.
J&J.
We always win this.
J&J. Y'all got this. Believe y'all. J&J.
Remember, you guys use up
Y'all got the Black Spider-Man music going on in the background. We got this. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Alright, everyone, they have a controller.
Let's go.
They got no powers anyway.
Who ain't got no powers?
Neither of them. They use it
They
up in
use
the
all
game.
the power. Oh, man. Y'all all Clark Kent.
Where we going?
Come on, Super.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
7 points to win.
Come on,
Pirates
bro.
Code.
Hey, XPG1. If you try to get the XPG1.
Are you
Show
ready?
y'all XPG1. This is what you fighting for.
Are you ready?
XPG1.
Oh, what is this?
Crispy gaming headphones. Crispy. Everybody need to pay Crispy gaming headphones.
1.
We got one. We got one.
Crispy. Brand new, fresh out the box. Crispy. Alright, let's go. Oh, Dwayne beating on his chest. Let's go. Okay, for the championship. Let's go. I'm rolling with him. Let's go. Yo, the DJ is fire, bro. Yo, let's go! Hey, yo, who is that? XPG2? Well, yo, XPG1, they just, yikes. Okay, now the music is back popping. Okay, DJ. Okay, hey, let's get it. Oh, block him. Oh, hit up the wall. Oh, hit up the wall. Let's go push it, bro. You gotta press ball. Let's go. Take it over there, Josiah. Let's go. Who that? Oh, hit clap. Yo, boy. Oh, man, I ain't gonna tell you what that just was just now. Yikes. Okay. Okay, let's go. Oh, they hitting it. They just, who's number 4? Hey, no, okay, hey, you out here playing like you know what you're doing. Oh, he hit it with his tail. What a veteran move. Oh, let's go. Oh, they covered the goal. Bro, they covered the goal, bro. It's free. Oh, yeah, let's go. Yo, XPG ain't going out like that, bro. Josiah ain't come this far to lose, bro. Triple J ain't come this far. Oh, he doing the back spin move. Oh, hey, get it, let's go. Oh, he hit it, let's go. Off the wall. Oh, better move. Oh, he hit it. Oh, my God, he hit it. He's trying to get a long distance goal. Okay, who's number 2? Oh, they working together. Good pass. Oh, he stole it. Oh, good block. Oh, veteran move. The boy didn't show no fear. Took his time, set up the play, and took it from the guy. Yikes. Let's go. Okay. What a veteran. Oh, he left something in that pool. I don't know what it is. Something in the ocean. Oh man, let's go. Come on, block that. You gotta block him. Oh! 3-1. 3-1. It's not over yet. Hey, XPG2, you still got time. I believe in you. Let's go. Okay, they going down. Okay, yo. Aiden is playing like a hawk right now. He's a veteran. He's been in Aquaball League for about 2 years now.
How long goes on?
Okay, come on, like taking care of you, baby. Come on. Hey, lighten up, bro. Lighten up. Come on, Josiah, hit him. Knock him out of here, Josiah. Let's go. Oh, yikes. That's all right, listen. You know, both of y'all went either way. Y'all XPG. We had a deal in the beginning. Let's go. Hey! Hey, a timeout? Yo, you need a timeout, bro?
No.
Just saying, you need a timeout. Hey, no, Angela! Break the intro, bro, let's go! Oh! Yo, we're trying to hit the ball. Oh, we going around. Oh, we're going to block it. Block it. You got to block it. You got to block it. Hit it with his tail. Okay, just press it button. I don't know what they're doing. Let's go. Hey, you guys, we changed the dollar breeze and all that. All right. My bad, I was questioning the president.
No, you're
my
good.
bad,
Don't
my
worry.
bad, President.
No, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. You're doing a good show. You're doing a good crowd control
I'm ready,
showcast.
bro.
Okay.
You ready?
All right, we gotta get 2 points. Hey, Josiah, y'all need 3 points to keep this thing going, bro. Come on, bro.
I got you. I can grab it. It's not here. Oh, I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, press the hold.
Come on.
Is that HPG1?
Yeah.
They just doing it real quiet. They ain't saying nothing. They just like another day in the office out here. Let's go.
Okay, where's the ball?
Okay, come on. Who was that? Oh, who was that? Come on, block it. Come on, block it.
Uh-oh.
Hey guys, I mean, if we're going by the rules, XPG,
They can wrap this up.
they gonna put the iceberg on. They even try to block them with the iceberg, yo. They just unstoppable. Oh, A-Cloud! Oh, A-Cloud! You need to cover up the goal, bro. I'm telling you, cover that goal. I don't know how you did that. Must be pressing buttons, bro. But you cover that goal, that was hard. Hey, yo, JK. And the new today champions of the Aquaball League Baltimore at Met Technology XPG1. Let's go, shake hands, good job. Second place we have XPG2, the J&J Connection. Alright, and third place we have Triple G, and we have all our other teams, the Ravens and the O's. Everybody, want to thank everybody for your participation today. Let me get Mr. Michael Peace up here. Mr. Michael Peace, treat him like Russell Simmons. Michael Peace, Russell Simmons. Up there, let's give out our first prize winners right here, XPG1. Let's celebrate them. We got Dwayne, rookie of the day, rookie of the day, Dwayne. This one right here. There you go. And what's your name again? Akil, my man Akil, another rookie. Give it up to Akil. And we got one of the defending champs. Hey, let's go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Joanne, Science Goddess on Twitter, and I'm here with my co-host of Read Science, Jeff Schomeyer, and we are so happy to have Emily Anthes join us again. She joined us back when we first started, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever she had her book, Frankenstein's Cat. I was going to say guest. Okay, so Frankenstein's Cat and Emily, we're so glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back.
Yay. So you have recently published a book called The Great Indoors, The Surprising Science of How Buildings Shape Our Behavior, Health, and Happiness. And it's been a while since you wrote a book, and this book is full of a lot of research. But before we get started on that, let me read your bio so everybody knows who Emily is. So Emily Anthes is an award-winning science journalist and author. Her work has appeared in the New York Times, the New Yorker, the Atlantic, Wired, and all the other wonderful places. The science authors tend to have publications. So her book, Frankenstein's Cat, explores how biotechnology is shaping the future of animals, and was published in March 2013. So it was great to talk to you back then about that. So, yeah. So, Jeff, do you want to get us started?
I do. This book we'll get into it and will become clear is all about environments and environmental design and buildings and how they affect us, which is a very interesting thing. And I loved all the examples. Now, what you describe in the book in these various situations is what we're learning about building better environments, either home or work, using data-driven results. And this idea of data-driven seems to me a very 21st century thing. So I thought maybe we should begin by describing how we would go about setting up a study that gets us to data-driven conclusions. And I thought I'd be very happy if we wanted to use the Clemson study of hospital operating rooms as an example, because I really want to talk more about all of the hospital results too. So if I want to say I need to make, I have $5 million, I need to make a data-driven, better operating room, what are we going to do to find out about that?
Well, so there are a couple of different ways to do projects like that. And they, as is typical, all have their own pluses and minuses. So one thing you could do, and that these researchers did, was spend a lot of time watching, doing field studies, watching what happens in actual operating rooms, jotting down notes, looking for correlations between, are there more mistakes or more dropped instruments in operating rooms of this size? So that's a field study, and the advantage is that it's real world. You're seeing how people actually behave in these environments. The disadvantage is that it's not controlled. So there are all these potentially confounding factors, and it's, you're finding correlations, not, causative connections. On the flip side, you can do, and researchers have done, all sorts of laboratory studies. So like you could put people in a thermal chamber and crank up the temperature and see how that affects their performance on a cognitive test. And researchers have done that too. And they can find that, when the temperature goes up, people's scores on these cognitive tests go down. And so maybe in whether it's an operating room or some other workplace, you want to make sure it's not too hot. And that's like a perfectly valid conclusion from that study. The advantage is you can exactly control the environment. The disadvantage is, though, of course, the world is not a temperature controlled chamber, and there are all these other things going on. So sort of what's sometimes called evidence-based design or data-driven design really incorporates a lot of different studies of both kinds. And by sort of piecing the results together, you can try to get at, what the most important factors are. That said, one challenge for all this work is, researchers use different methods and study different environments, and it can be hard to sort of synthesize the work. But those are sort of the two main approaches that researchers take.
And you can gather all these data and you have them, but you still have to test conclusions and come up with ideas. The answers don't just flow out automatically from the data, unfortunately.
Right. And one thing that sort of becomes a theme in the book is also like, it's not, a perfectly predictable system where like you change one thing, change the temperature, change the room size, and you get exactly the outcome you want. You can have all these unanticipated effects, positive and negative. Humans are really complex, environments are complex, and so it's not as simple as like input output.
I was really interested in the operating room study, that one of the things that they decided to measure, because that's something that you have to decide, is how can we measure something that we think we can show is well connected to something we can affect, is they measured these things that you and probably they called flow interruptions. And you noted that they did a number of these studies, 28 examples you mentioned, that they found 100 flow interruptions on average in each one of these. And these are what little incidents like not having the scalpel ready, or perhaps dropping something, or misplacing something, or not be able to find something, anything that interrupts that well-timed flow, right? Do you have any idea how they came to that? That was a very interesting sort of thing, and it's a measurable sort of thing which you have to have.
You mean how they decided to look at flow disruptions?
Yeah.
That was something that had been written about before and is in the literature in terms of,
Okay.
I guess the reason they're interested in that is because there's some work suggesting that it's correlated with medical errors or serious adverse outcomes. And so the idea is that, some flow disruptions are really extremely minor, like, there's a cart of instruments in the way and so you have to walk around it, like that's not a huge deal, but there is some evidence that suggests that little problems, especially in such a fast-paced and high-stakes environment, can snowball into bigger problems. And so it's not necessarily that all of these flow disruptions are in and of themselves that bad, but that they could, maybe it cause a treatment delay or a medication mix-up, or so their theory was the more you can reduce these flow disruptions, you can perhaps reduce adverse outcomes in the OR.
And then observing these situations and taking notes and seeing what was going on, and then debriefing the people involved in the studies afterwards and things, they came to some really interesting conclusions, design changes, and unexpected things like, didn't anybody ever notice that another trash can in the operating room might make things go more smoothly?
I thought that too when I read that, and the nurses were doing a test run of the new design. And I thought, well, did it occur to them to count how many trash cans there were in the surgery before they redesigned?
Another trash can would be helpful, but that's sometimes, yes, you don't notice those things. And then they're unobvious things like not putting the operating table in the middle of the room seem to be a really significant conclusion.
Yeah, and so it's a combination of, that's, I think, a side effect of how complex these environments are, is even though they, spent hours reviewing tapes of surgeries, there's so much going on that maybe no one thinks to make note of the trash cans. And then there are other things that are just done out of habit, like the OR table in the center of the room. It's not that they're overturning decades of previous research with this. It's just nobody had ever thought to say what if we do it differently? And so that's one way. And, hospitals are some of the earliest places where we've seen this evidence-based design sort of be implemented. But even there's still so much left to learn.
In a different place in the book, in connection with office space, which we'll probably discuss, you said that it's important to note that something like a productive worker's space is not necessarily the same as a happy worker's space. And it was very interesting too that some changes, I suggested changes to the operating room for things like putting in a window, because of the light and the possible views and things, don't do much for the patient on the table, but sure make the staff a lot more productive and have a pleasanter time doing this. And that's,
and especially if you're doing one of these long operations that's 8 or 10 or 12 hours long, you can have a surgical team that basically goes in the morning and doesn't see daylight all day. And we know that not just for their happiness, but adequate exposure to daylight, especially in the morning, is helpful for alertness. And so it's, better performance and, in theory, happier staff.
So if you don't mind, I was wondering if I can't remember, some places you went and saw, did you see this new surgical suite with the windows?
So I saw a mock-up of it, which they had built. So they had a cutout in the wall where the window would go, but it was this mock-up they'd built inside a design center. So it was inside another building. So I got to watch a team of nurses go through some simulated surgeries in this mock-up.
Interesting. Wow.
Sometime in the 80s or 90s, there was a switch in hospital design and operating, an idea to be more patient-centric for better outcomes and things. And I've lived just long enough and been in the hospital just long enough to have noticed, the last time that I was there 15 years ago or so, a remarkable change to how the intensive care unit was run, where once upon a time, best people were only allowed to visit one at a time between the hours of 4:15 and 4:25. Had a strictly regimented day. And this time when I was there, all these things that you discuss in the book and about why they are, the rooms were individual. They were rearranged so they were easily visible to the staff. Visitors could pretty much come and go anytime. If I wanted to have visitors at 2 in the morning, they were fine with visitors at 2 in the morning, all because of this patient-centric approach, right? Design. And so you discuss that in the chapter, and I don't have his name handy, who did some early studies of how to improve outcomes that led to single hospital rooms that could reduce infections, keep the rooms quieter, be more accommodating to visitors, aid patient-doctor communication. Those were big changes, and they seem obvious afterwards, but not before.
Yeah, I mean, and what's really interesting about that history, I think, is in some ways we've gone back to embracing some of the ideas that defined earlier hospital design. So, most viewers have probably heard of Florence Nightingale. They may or may not know that she was really involved in advocating for things in hospitals like ample access to daylight, lots of ventilation and fresh air, nature views. And there were not studies at the time, quote unquote, proving that those things were good, but she and others just had this intuition. And there were hospitals that were designed this way to be sort of open to the air and the environment and these lush courtyards in the 19th century, in the second half of it, especially. But then what happened was, the 20th century came along, we discovered germs, and germ theory took off, and, we can use chemicals and antiseptics to keep everyone infection free, and technology improved. And so hospitals sort of became these hermetically sealed, closed off machines. And the focus was sort of this factory-like model of delivering healthcare. And it sort of took this dual revolution of evidence-based design and, as you said, Jeff, patient-centered care, to realize wait a minute, maybe just efficiency is not the end all and be all. And there are things we can do for patients. And so what we're seeing now is sort of a return to how can we bring light into all the patient rooms? How can we sort of make these places more humane and not just like these warehouses?
And I like that what pops up a lot through the whole book is the nature, a view of nature. So we see, prisons, schools, maybe and hospitals that, a view of nature in some way, and the shift in lighting and workers, right? So for some reason that is so crucial.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask, what are the top things I can do to my space? And usually the first or second thing I say is find a way to bring nature in, because it just has so many benefits. And the sort of cool thing about it is it's great if you can, fill your house with plants or, plant a garden right outside your window. But even if that's not your thing, there are plenty of studies that suggest that just having photographs or images of nature around, even bird song and nature sounds, can have some of the same benefits and stress reducing effects. So that's a really easy way, no matter what kind of space you're in, to try and improve it.
I think I'll tell my boss when I go back to work, because my office has no windows or anything, whereas when I'm working right here, I have a window, I have natural sunlight, and I have a tree right outside, and I feel so much calmer.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's one of the most consistent findings. They're just study after study supports
But
that.
and you see that going on in all these hospitals I've been in now, where they are single rooms, where they try to arrange windows so that you see a bit of nature rather than a brick wall. It's nice. And it was interesting hearing you talk about antiseptic period in the early 20th century. it would be easy to look back and say, well, those people were horrible Nazis who wanted to control everything. But you give a hint about a different picture where it's like the idea of controlling the environment to try to keep it antiseptic, and clean and pure, and things sort of gets out of hand after a while. But the motivation started out in a good place because people didn't die of sepsis then if you did that, and you got better patient outcomes. And then do you think, any understanding of where this, I don't know if it was sudden, but this big change to this more patient-centric approach and outcomes came from?
It's not entirely clear. I mean, I think it was a couple of factors working together. I mean, I think part of it was, you start to see in the 70s things like the disability rights movement and activism, and sort of more patients advocating for themselves. And then a few decades later, you see the birth of evidence-based medicine, which now to us seems obvious, but it was not. I mean, that was something that was invented, and it sort of came about in the early 90s. And that sort of also sprung this idea, sort of sister idea of evidence-based design. And if everything we're doing inside a hospital should be supported by evidence, maybe the design of the hospital should be as well.
But some of that also grew with the enabling technology. You couldn't have done a lot of these 21st century data-driven experiments until you had computers big enough, way to handle a terabyte of data a day, and sensors that are able to do all these things. So they grow up together.
Right, absolutely.
I'm thinking of another technology that, well, interestingly, so you started with hospitals, and you started with homes and the things that live with us.
Yeah.
And we don't even know they live with us.
Right.
And actually, nobody thought to look, what do you live with? How does that change depending on the family and the person? And some of that couldn't happen until we had the genome sequencing technology, the metagenomics, to just look at everything. You take a sample and just, you can't grow it all, but you can check the genomes and put that, check against the database. So you've got Jack Gilbert, you've got Rob Dunn, and, these people who work on what lives with us. And I felt like that was pretty early in the book, and that was a good way to start. And do you think people should be shocked by what lives with us, or comforted by what lives with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that, and I've already started hearing from readers that were like, I think I liked the first chapter, but I don't know if I liked the first chapter.
The first chapter is
about the indoor microbiome.
Yes, it is that word.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I was shocked, even going into it, knowing that researchers are finding a lot. I was stunned by how much is hidden in our homes. I mean, I think the researchers I talked to explicitly said, and I tried to communicate, like, this is stunning, but it's really, for the most part, not something to freak out about. I mean, I liked the idea of thinking about our homes as ecosystems, just as the outdoor world is. And, there are some disease-causing organisms that can live in our homes, but for the most part, what's there is completely benign. And some of the microbes are even beneficial to our developing immune systems. And so it's really, I mean, researchers do not want us to be, Cloroxing the hell out of our houses. This is just sort of a natural part of our indoor world. And I understand why some people might be creeped out. And that's not necessarily like the wrong reaction, but I did try to sort of explain that this is not a bad thing. That, I mean, as one researcher told me, like, you don't want to have a sterile house, which is good because none of us have one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if people are freaked out, we can recommend good reading on the microbiome that we live with
Right.
inside us. Do you want to justify now why
Welcome to another edition of the Hair Kitchen. And today we'll be talking to Terry Action Jackson, who's running for Congress. We're going to have him tell us a little bit about himself. And welcome to the Hair Kitchen. How are you today, Action Jackson?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. So I see that you're running for Congress. Um, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to run for Congress in Maryland's 5th District?
So I'm a proud Marylander. I'm a Navy veteran. I've always been a lifelong public servant ever since I was 17 when I first joined the military. And 23 years later now, I look back on my career and I've had a life that has always been about protecting people and trying to help solve problems, either within the military structure or within my community itself. I never really consider myself to be a political person, but I feel like there's a calling on me right now to kind of step forward and take up the mantle and try to make things better for people. I've seen both sides of the government, right? Being in it, I've seen how that when it's effective, it can actually help and benefit people. But then when it is like it is now and it's so chaotic and everything, and there's so much turmoil in government, I see how it can really cause pain to people. And I don't like seeing people in pain, no matter what side of the political spectrum that you may be on. So that's kind of what pushed me to run for Congress, because I don't want to see people suffering. I want to be able to help people. And that's always kind of been my calling to do. And that's, as I go through the district, I see people, they're talking about they're ready for change. They want change because the status quo isn't really working anymore. Obviously, costs keep rising, and the same status quo political leadership that we have in Congress is really not meeting the moment. And I'm talking to people, when I go to shopping centers or I'm at gas stations and I'm passing out my campaign cards and things like that, there's a real energy out there among the voters that they want new leadership in Congress, people who they know are going to stand up and fight with urgency and not be so cautious, because right now being cautious is not really working for us. We need to be assertive. We need to be strong and forceful and make sure that we stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. And lastly,
Wow.
I'm kind of running as an intergenerational candidate. I kind of want to have the torch passed for my current leadership, take the helm for a while, try to get us back on a equilibrium to where we balance things out. And then I myself want to pass the torch on to someone, else that's maybe younger than me or whatever the case is, because I feel like our representatives get in Congress and they're there for so long and they become out of touch. Primary example here, the current representative we have in our district, he gets voted in office time after time just solely based off name recognition. I couldn't tell you the last time that he's actually went out into the community and actually knocked on doors and told people why they should support him. So I don't ever want to be labeled as a politician. I want to be labeled as a civil servant, because that's where the bread and butter of politics is out there in the communities, meeting with the people and understanding what their needs are.
Yeah, that I totally agree with you. First thing I'd like to say is thank you for your service. And then when you said intergenerational, I totally agree with that, because people lose touch with the individuals who are not in their age group. Like you said, you see them, we see the elected officials when they're trying to get in office. Once they're in office, you don't see them anymore. And it's like, I can't, in my industry, I have to see you constantly and consistently. And the industry is ever changing, just like the landscape is ever changing. How do you stay on top of it if you're at a desk in an office in DC or whatever, city you're in? So what values or experiences from your military and public service career shape your approach to leadership?
Well, don't fault me here, but I'm going to lean into my military experience, because that's a huge portion of my life and my upbringing. I joined the military when I was 17 years old, turned 18 in basic training, and then kind of just went from there. I retired back in 2020. So my entire life has been military oriented. In the Navy, we had a concept or a saying. It was called deck plate leadership. And what deck plate leadership is, that is leaders who aren't not hidden behind their desk. Those are the supervisors and the managers that are out there with the troops, essentially being down in the trenches, right? You're out there with your people side by side, seeing what they're doing, engaging with them, understanding and listening to what they need, and how you can better help them be successful. Right. So that's the kind of leadership that I want to bring to Maryland's 5th District. When I'm out there now, a lot of people tell me, wow, it's great to see someone out running for office actually in a shopping center or at a gas station or in a coffee shop actually talking to me. And I'm not just handing out cards and saying, vote for me. I understand people are in a rush and they got their lives going on in that moment, but you'd be surprised if you really engage with people, how often they'll stop and actually have a 3 or 4 minute conversation with you, ask you about a policy stance you have, so that's really engaging. And a lot of people that I found really appreciate that. So going back to that deck play leadership, it's all about presence, integrity and accountability. You set the tone, the mission objectives, and you go out there and you fight every single day for people and let people know. It's one thing about Maryland, right? They love transparency and they love accountability. That's what Marylanders love here in the 5th District. And that's what they want and expect from their congressional representatives.
So when you have been out there in the trenches, if you will, talking to people, is there a consistent message that you're hearing from the general public? Like, what is the hot button conversations that they're having? Are they talking about education? What are they like right now? When you've talked to the last 5 people, what would you say? Was there anything in common that they shared with you?
So everywhere I go, from Bowie down to Ward up into St. Mary's County, over to Calvert County, it's pretty much they're ready for change. They're really disillusioned and disheartened with our congressional representation as is. They respect experience, but they know how incumbency can be both a blessing and a curse. Like we just said before, you get in office, you get comfortable, you stop actually representing the people. It opens the door to corruption and not really your values aligning with the people of your district anymore. You become more of a corporate politician, wanting to lobby for, corporations and the wealthiest Americans and not for the people in your district. When I talk to people, real talk though, at gas stations and coffee shops, they're worried about rising costs. People can't afford, to make ends meet anymore because they're paying high cost in rent, they're paying in groceries. Healthcare costs, as we see with this current battle that we have going on regarding the ACA subsidies, people are worried. I just ran the numbers on me, my wife, and my 9-year-old daughter, and the cheapest policy I could find for healthcare was $900 a month. Plus, I would still be paying about $11,000 a year of out-of-pocket costs in addition to the monthly payments. So it's really unaffordable out here. I will say this too, that Maryland is a huge military veteran district. There are multiple military installations throughout district, from Fort Meade all the way down to Patuxent, down NAS Patuxent down south. So making sure that all those constituencies are represented. It's really dynamic here. And that's one thing I love about it, because you have it where it's really urban/suburban up in the Crofton Bowie area where I'm located at. And then it's kind of the rural farms and everything down there on the coast. Down south. So it's very diverse. So you kind of have to be that broad ranging candidate that can reach out to everyone. Now, I'll say this too. No one person is going to ever agree with a politician 100%. But when we look at candidates and things, and I ask people to do this too, I'm like, don't take what I say, just take it and look at it and say, hey, let me check this guy out. Do your due diligence. Don't just accept me for face value. Dig into me a little bit, understand my positions, challenge me with questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll be the person to tell you, well, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'll write this down and I will get back with you and we can have a conversation about that way. I really believe in that back and forth engagement and being able to let people know that you're concerned. And when you actually do follow up and get back with them, that just makes them respect you and the process that much more, because you're a guy who follows through on what you say you're going to do.
I totally agree. So when you said gas station, the first thing that came to my mind was there was a study done saying that we spend for just going to work to work our 40 hours a week, we spend $5,000 a month on gas.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So high.
It's
I said, hold on, let me look at my statement and see how much gas, because I'm using my card so I can track stuff. I was like, how much am I using that much? Because you just have to have it so you don't really count it, because counting it can be a little depressing. So it's like,
and then when you add on Right. And then when you add on people who have childcare, they have to pay for that enables them to go to work, the costs just mount and mount and mount. You know, the cheapest, I had my child in childcare a while back before she got a little older and was able to come home from school herself. But we were paying $250 a week. And I know there are people that have 3 or 4 kids, that's $1,000 or more per month just for childcare right off the bat. Just so
and if it's an infant, that's for one child. If it's an infant, you're oh my God, it's almost rent. You're like, well, can we all live at the daycare? Because it is expensive.
And then it's even worse for people who work shift work because you know they work all kind of weird hours. You don't really have daycare facilities. A lot of those people have to rely on families, friends, or neighbors to watch their kids just so they can afford to go to work because we don't have around the clock childcare centers that are willing to provide that service at different times.
That's right.
There's a lot of issues that Maryland families face.
So, what are the key issues you're focused on, and how do they connect to the everyday people in our district?
There's so many challenges facing the people of the 5th district and all of Maryland and across the nation for that matter. But I would say if I had to name my top 3, they would probably be lowering costs, reconnecting with the community because that goes into restoring trust in government and letting people see that government, when done effectively, can actually benefit people, and protecting our earned benefits. As you know, since this administration came into office, there have been multiple attacks on the social safety nets, Medicaid, Medicare. There's been a reduction in SNAP benefits, and now they're looking to try to target veterans benefits, all in accordance with Project 2025. So I would say those would be my 3 priorities of trying to work those for Marylanders, because I feel like if you can't trust your government and you don't reconnect and believe the government's actually going to work for you, then you're never going to believe in it at all. So I think that's important to be able to reconnect with those disillusioned voters, the ones that think government, doesn't support, doesn't help out. We need to actively show them. Now, when it comes to lowering costs, here's something that really, I'm on TikTok a lot. I join those lives and hear people have conversations and stuff. There's just so much information out there that's just being, fed to people. First off, I'll say this: no president, whether Democrat or Republican, controls the price of goods and services. Okay, we are in a global market. We may say America first all day long, but the markets and everything are globalized. It's an international marketplace. These prices are driven by supply and demand. Okay, no more, no less. And that applies to energy markets, production costs and everything. All the trade that goes on is international. So for people to sit there and blame any one person or one party specifically, is wrong. Now, can we pass policies to kind of mitigate some of those challenges and make things more affordable? Sure, we can. But, to just point the blame squarely on someone or some entity is totally off base. And then with reconnecting with the constituency, right? The people that I represent in the district, a lot of people, when I talk to them, they say the only time I hear from my representative is when election season's coming up and they want our vote. And I started getting flooded with emails saying donate, donate, donate. But why would I donate to you if I don't ever see you? You don't hardly ever hold town halls. And when you do, you just talk at us and not to us. You barely let us, you hold a town hall for like an hour and you let us get maybe 3 or 4 questions out to you. And then you end the town hall. So there's no real trust in government. People think their representatives just blow them off. So there needs to be real engagement within the community.
I totally agree with what you just said, because there was a meeting. There's some issues going on in Landover with the data center, and the community went to the task force meeting and they asked them what you just said to write their questions on a Post-it and stick it up on a board that they had. And the group got very upset. So you're right. People want you to engage them in the things that are bothering them. So I'm liking to hear you say that.
Yeah, that's not engagement at all. That's scapegoating. No. You're sitting here and you're saying that you want to do all these things, but you never follow through with it.
And you don't hear what they're even asking.
Right. And then on the last point, the benefits, our earned benefits. People work their entire lives for their Social Security payments, and they expect those to be there. And I've heard about Social Security running out in 2034 for the last 10, 15 years. Because as I got more into politics and more focused on it. And we can solve this. There's just not a willingness to do so, right? We could sit there and, for the rich, right? They have all this money available to them. And all we would have to do is remove the cap on payroll taxes. It's currently at 6.2% for employer and employee. But the rich, once they pay their I think it's 68,000 or 174,000, it's somewhere in that ballpark of payroll taxes, they don't pay anymore for the rest of the year. So they're done paying payroll taxes on their income by the end of January or early February, while the rest of us are paying for the entire year because most of us don't make that much money.
Right.
So if you would just remove that cap, you would give Social Security up to 75 more years of solvency. And then if we had maybe a gradual increase over time, maybe for like 6.2 to 6.5% of employer and employee taxes, just a little small increase, broken down over 5 or 8 years or whatever the case is, you could keep Social Security solvent forever. And it wouldn't even be an issue anymore. But every time
I totally agree with that because...
every time Republicans come in office, they always want to try to cut the earned benefits, the Medicaid, the Medicare. This big ugly bill they passed recently, they took $200 billion from SNAP. And now they're coming after veterans benefits and everything, saying that we're lazy and we're too dependent on the system. But these are service-connected disabilities that veterans suffer from. And these are lifelong issues. I'm a disabled veteran, and I would give anything to be able to get a decent night's sleep without having to wake up with chronic pain. I'd give the money back. And I know a lot of veterans that feel that way, but I don't have that luxury right now because I have these conditions and these ailments for the rest of my life.
Right. And for serving, it's like you served the country and now the country wants to say, okay, thank you, see you later. No, that's not how you do
keep the promises we made to both seniors and to our veterans.
Yes, I totally agree. You mentioned the hearing about Social Security running out, and I would have to agree. I've been hearing that like you for about 10 years. And I'm like, how is it going to run out when we're still paying into it? Run out in what capacity? Because it's not running out and not being taken out of my paycheck.
Well, let me correct that, or let me clarify what I meant by running out. So by 2034, the recent estimates that I've seen say that Social Security will be able to pay reduced benefits. So you'll have about anywhere between 23 to 25% less. And I don't know many seniors out there that can live without 25% less money because they're already barely making ends meet now. So if you take away some of their benefit because the program is not solvent, you're only making the problem worse. You're not helping fix it.
Totally agree. So, and you also talked about, when you talk about benefits, the healthcare, and you talked about what it was going to cost you. The cheapest plan you found was like $900, and then out of pocket, you still were going to spend another $11,000. Healthcare is a big concern for families. What specific changes or reforms do you believe will make the system fairer or more affordable for families?
So first off, let me start that by saying that I 100% believe that healthcare is a human right. Everyone should be entitled to healthcare, no matter what your status in life, no matter how much you make, no matter where you live or any of that. Bottom line, 100%. No American should ever face bankruptcy or be drowning in medical debt, because they have an ailment in the United States of America. We're supposed to be the richest country and the most affluent country in the world. So that should never be tolerated here whatsoever. Now, I say that to say this, right? There has to be a willingness in Congress to have universal health care. And as they show us constantly, there isn't. These older establishment Republicans and Democrats don't have the stomach for it. And they'll make every excuse under the sun on why we can't get it. Even though we currently pay these outrageous premiums and then all these additional co-pays and other out of
We got some live music going. Let me see where. Oh, there she is. How you doing? Hi. Fine, how are you?